Well, pretty blockbuster lineup on SmackDown tonight, Eric. I know you were looking forward to it. I don't usually ask a macro question, big picture, but did this show live up to? And we won't get into all the specifics. Just short answer: like, did this live up to the lineup and the hype as you assess it now that the show is all 3 hours are over?
For me, yes, it absolutely did. And I noticed around the 2 hour and 15 mark that it didn't feel like a 3 hour show. It felt like it kind of went by quickly. There was
Mm-hmm.
no wasted effort. There were no segments that bored me. Um, they even had show long storylines, which they don't always do anymore. And I just thought the entire show was very compelling.
Yeah, so let's I do too. I wouldn't say there were any big surprises. I mean, I thought Jay was going to win. It was hard to talk yourself into thinking otherwise. I think we knew we were going to be on a journey to Sammy, Cody, and Gunther in a triple threat. Things seemed pointed that way, and I mean, I guess the Charlotte thing could have gone either way, but they're playing up injuries and stuff. So, um, having Liv advance, I guess. I mean, it was that's the match that had the I would have bet might have gone the other way before the other two, but it's
Right.
still it's so in terms of those big moments, and then you had Ricky Saints and Carmelo too, and some other things to get into the tag match. So let's talk about the opening segment. Let's just start. I mean, we can start multiple places because there's a lot of news coming out of the show. But they did a match that went 11 minutes, and Sammy did not go well as a special enforcer objective referee, and they ended up having a controversial finish where Cody won in just under 12 minutes. And I mean, I think all of us were thinking, oh, thanks so much for the commercial-free 12-minute world title match. And I even typed up in my written report, that this match just felt like a setup for a triple threat. It didn't really deliver on the hype. People in the building, I didn't write this, but people in the building had to feel let down. They only got 12 minutes and a controversial finish. And, it's just, if you hype it this much ahead of time and really frame it as a big deal, you got to give a better finish in more than 12 minutes. And then they go to break and they come back and they continue the match. We only got it like 3 minutes and change more. So
Right.
we still didn't get and that's why I asked the question to you, because I'm like, I could see somebody just going, wait a second, that world title match, they could have done 8 more minutes of just like a fight, like before this to me, like the 12 minutes in part one of the match before the 3 minute follow-up that was a no contest, which also isn't a finish. I would have liked to have seen 8 more minutes before everything that happened in that 12 minutes. Like, give us a full-fledged match as part of it. So that's the area where I think some fans would just be like, God, the bell rang and it sort of felt like they rushed through a few things and then just got to the storyline. And the match really did feel like it was a portal, a vehicle to tell a story that gets you in and out of champions. And I get, that when you watch SmackDown, that might be likely happening. You ought to be savvy enough, but I still think that could have 4, 5, 6 more minutes, Eric. That would be my critique of that opening segment.
Right. Yeah. When it first ended in 12 minutes, I thought the same thing. I typed the same thing, and it harkened back to their match at Clash in Italy, which I remember being surprisingly short as well. Or was it Saturday Night's Main Event? One of those they had that it felt very short and surprising. I guess we know they did it because they're going to have a triple threat match with those guys involved again. And you could make the case that for story purposes, there was no way with the combustible elements in the ring, including Zayn, that it wouldn't get out of hand quickly. So I think they can make that case. But I do agree that it would have meant more if you had 6 or 7 more minutes to build up to that.
That's about the only critique I have. What do you think of the story they told? Let's just evaluate that. Sammy they continued the story with Sammy, and I think they did a good job with it. I don't want to talk it through with you, that Sammy is looking out for Cody. He is not sabotaging him, and he has a case he can make that he's being misunderstood. There's inadvertent things happening that were not in that hurt Cody, that were not his intent. And he did show that he wasn't going to just favor Gunther to cost Cody the title, like out of spite or anything like that. So I think the execution of the match stayed consistent with things. So yeah, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Sammy was a tremendous referee in the beginning. He was enforcing everything more so than most referees do.
Yeah.
And they even made a point of it when the when they had the near fall where Gunther had his foot under the rope, and they showed that basically Sammy was a better referee than the referee that usually referees that messed it up at Clash in Italy.
Yep.
And they found the way to keep the conflict between all three of these guys and have Sammy still have something to be upset about, because he was doing the right thing until he got attacked by one of the wrestlers in the match that he's refereeing. And then, yes, he lost his mind after that and, hit him back and cost him the match. So naturally, Cody's going to be upset. Gunther's going to be upset. And Sammy's going to be upset, but he can still say, I tried to do the right thing. So I think they found the perfect balance of how to have that match conclude.
Yeah, I do too. And this has an element of predictability. If you're a, savvy WWE viewer, I don't even know if you have to be savvy, just an experienced one. You kind of know, okay, we're headed to triple threat and there's a variety of ways that can happen, but this is in that realm. But I didn't see holes in it. Like, this felt like it was predictable, but it was fun to see. It was fun to see Gunther just be like, what? My hand-picked referee kicked my hands off the ropes. But Sammy had a rationale for that. And they, I think they covered their base well. I think this was a good execution of a predictable story.
I agree. And it makes this triple threat match incredibly compelling at Night of Champions. I don't know what will happen there. We'll get into more of how Jay fits into this potentially, because that was something I hadn't really thought about until it happened on screen tonight. But it gives them a lot of options, and I think they're really reaping the benefits of a lot of plans that they laid out before that they're starting to reap the benefits of now, and that's why this show is compelling to begin with.
So the part 2 of the match ended in a no contest. Sammy ran to the ring, charged at Cody and Gunther. Sammy ended up hitting Gunther with a luva kick, and the ref called for the bell. So Sammy, he wasn't trying to help Cody. He just was frustrated with Gunther. And then we get a no contest. So they really left it. The no contest isn't like, it's not a cop-out finish in the worst sense, because if somebody loses this match, it's hard to justify a triple threat. It's hard to look at Nick Aldis and go, yeah, somebody lost, but we're going to still give them another title shot. I think, and that's kind of why I'm kind of, thinking as I talk here, I think there's a way to do that, but I don't mind. I don't think like every no contest or every throw the match out, whatever, is a cop-out finish. This wasn't, we don't want to give you a finish. This was, giving you a finish would interfere with a logical next step that's leading to something bigger. And I want to differentiate between those two things. It doesn't mean people have to love it or like it or approve of it or ever, give a thumbs up to doing it. But it is a lesser offense, I would say, to advertise this match, restart it, and have a no contest, because it wasn't just, okay, now it's all over. Thanks for tuning in. We're never giving you a finish. This is just a way to justify the triple threat.
Yeah, I agree. And it drives me crazy when they don't have official decisions and they don't announce the decision after a disqualification or an obvious count out. This was one I'm willing to forgive, because I can understand this being a no contest, because the person who interfered was actually the referee of the original match. So it gets very confusing. So I can understand why they just throw the whole thing out. And it made perfect sense to me that, because Sammy was just mad that, why is this match restarting? I was the referee. It's done. You shouldn't be able to restart this. So I don't even know if it was so much just mad at Gunther at that point. He's just mad at the whole situation.
Well, and when Aldis confronted him later, Sammy said, I called it down the middle. Don't scold me.
And it shut all this up too.
Yeah, he did. And he goes, until Gunther powerbombed me. So Gunther's the heel. Sammy has not like full-fledged turned heel in a way here. He's just still true to himself. Sami Zayn, who has an argument that he's not the bad guy here. So I liked that, you talked about a story throughout the show. I liked that how they handled all this. Of course, is going to be upset for Sammy for the fast count, but Sammy's like, hey, he powerbombed me. I was calling it down the middle before that. Aldis said you shouldn't have put your hands on him. And then Sammy goes, Cody should be thanking me. He shouldn't be mad at me. And so I thought that it made sense. And I think the weaving of it, including Cody's response later, all the way to, talking to Jay before Jay's match, and kind of hinting at what could happen at SummerSlam. So talk about the other segments that followed this, what you liked, or if anything stood out that you didn't like.
All with Cody, Sammy.
Yeah, Cody, Sammy, and the follow-up.
I thought it was I thought it all made sense. I thought it was great that he shut all this up when he actually pointed out, like, you're the ones who wanted me to referee this match. I didn't ask for this. You put me in there and then I get attacked. What do you want me to do? And then really what jumped out to me was that I hadn't considered, what if Jay wins King of the Ring and Sammy wins, and they do have Sammy versus Jay at SummerSlam. And I don't necessarily think it's going that direction, but I like that it's an option to think about. I always like when there's like credible options that I could see as a co-main event. And maybe some would think that Jay versus Sammy isn't enough to co-main event SummerSlam or even main event one night of it, but they have a lot of history there. And in an age where they will put world title matches on as an opening match, I could see that in some cases anyway. So I just was intrigued by all of it. And I've been trying to pinpoint how I feel about Sami Zayn's character, because for months I did not want him to turn heel. And I know he still technically hasn't yet, but I've come more to terms with it because he's making it so interesting. And it draws so many parallels to 1997 Bret Hart when he was, when he was doing his I'm a babyface in Canada and a heel in the United States. But tonight, in the last couple of weeks, with this whole I'm the last real good guy thing, I think it's mirroring Bret Hart in real life, where Bret Hart says a lot of things that are very true, but people just don't want to hear it because he sounds like he's whining. And I feel like it's very similar to what Sammy's doing. I doubt it's intentional, but it's interesting to me.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. And I mean, wrestlers come up with, or they're inspired by and pattern certain things off of things that they're fond of in the past. So they want to recreate them, but with new players and some change in circumstances. So elaborate more on your journey with this Sammy character. Just kind of talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, for me, there has been no moment or no match even in the last 5 years in all of wrestling to me that was more compelling than Sammy at Elimination Chamber trying to win the championship against Roman Reigns. To me, that was even more interesting than when Cody went up against Roman two WrestleManias in a row.
One might call it a peak fan experience.
Yeah, exactly. It was a peak fan experience. Just don't take me to Club WWE or whatever. But so I always thought from that moment, Sami Zayn had to win a world championship in that type of situation. So I've been kind of expecting that to happen at some point. I even expected it with Jey Uso, and that happened. But it just hadn't happened for Sammy yet. And so I was very resistant on turning him heel because he's such a natural babyface too. And I don't think, yes, the storyline with Sammy being a bloodline member and trying to earn their favor, it was done incredibly well. But not everyone could have played that Sami Zayn role the way that he did. So for him to go on that journey and have that and not quite get to where he needed to, I thought they would revisit it. And it seemed like they were going to, but then inexplicably to me, he started whining and people started turning against him, fans turning against him for reasons that I didn't quite understand at first. It didn't seem like he had
bad timing with Trick.
It was bad timing. Terrible timing with Trick.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think the course would have gone differently for Sammy if they didn't have him booked against somebody who they were trying to portray as a heel, but the fans, because I think the fans turned on Sammy in great part because they liked Trick and were just resisting the story that they were being told.
I do think that. I think if it had been like Ricky Saints in that position, I don't think Sammy would have been turned by the crowd. But then I think they just realized they couldn't turn it back. So Sammy just rolled with it. But it's funny now that I think that by doing this, Sammy's going to become popular again because he's so good at this, and they're not going to be able to keep him heel for long. And because if there was one shirt I would wear in wrestling right now, it would be the last real good guy shirt.
Yes.
Like I would wear that.
Yep. I get it. I get it. Some comments in the chat here, and then we'll introduce ourselves. We got some callers waiting to join us. We have other topics on this show. A lot of fun conversations here to be had. Darrell, who will be joining us, Darrell Freeman, says Sammy's playing his part so good, and he's making the crowd not cheer him, and he's getting Cody cheered more. That's what you want if you're a heel, and Sammy's a heel who's not admitting he's a heel. Sadler version 3 goes, Sammy's always right, but has such a whiny attitude that people can't help but dislike him. LOL. Yeah, I mean, exactly. It is, we talk about what might inspire it. I mean, there is a little bit of real life Sami Zayn here. where people like him, but he can be a little much. When Cody said, "Oh, he can be a little much," Aldis telling Nick Aldis that, it's like, you know what? I've heard that about him. I think Kevin Owens has admitted that in an interview too. Good friends of him, but he can be a little much. So they're playing up something, a part that Sammy can play well, a cartoonized, exaggerated, embellished, amplified version of it. But that's what you should do within reason. Oh. Gunther's arrogant laugh, Sammy's internal struggle, all next level. I mean, I don't disagree with any of that.
I even appreciate that Gunther lost his mind and was complaining to Aldis about all of this and forgetting about the fact that he was the one who asked for him to be the referee. His response to that was, because Aldis says, "You're the one who asked him to be the ref," and Gunther's like, "You're incompetent." Like, he had nothing else to say other than just yell at him.
Yep. Derek Mitchell with a super chat. Thank you, Derek. He says the last time SmackDown opened with a match instead of an in-ring promo was April 12th, 2024. That cannot be true. Like, they opened every SmackDown. Are you sure? I think I would have I trust Derek, but it didn't strike me that they have not had occasions where they've opened with a match right away. I like it. Anyway, he says it was when LA Knight defeated Santos Escobar and Bobby Lashley in a triple threat to advance in the tourney for a shot at the WWE title. Does that surprise you? That
surprises me a lot. I mean, I know it doesn't happen often, but I mean, I've watched all of these shows and covered them. I do tend to try to predict what match order will be.
Oh, fun.
And I was very wrong today about every single one. Mm-hmm. So it was notable to me that they structured the show differently. I even noticed that at the top of each hour, it was in the middle of a match, which isn't always the case. So they just did everything differently today, and it really worked.
Yeah, starting with the world title match, they could have, but it would have been crunched, gotten everything accomplished that they did if they closed the show with Cody Gunther. Also, it would have given away the match is going to get restarted probably if they went to a break with only 6 minutes left in the show. And I mean, I guess you could imagine there's going to be chaos and a yelling and a decision, but I think by starting with it added more suspense and made the restart more of a surprise. Derek Hubbard says, I enjoyed that they started the show with a match. Changes in format are a plus. I thought the action was strong and all three played their parts well. Absolutely. Pile the River P goes, I'm digging the Sammy story. Goodfella goes, the last real good guy, ! And Darrell says, I know everyone got the reaction WWE wanted them to get with this Sammy, Gunther, and Cody issue. Yeah. Applause for that for sure. Carl Man 7000, welcome to the chat, goes, I thought it was a striking contrast tonight compared to Dynamite on Wednesday. Tonight was so creative the way they did the Cody Gunther match. Interesting. He goes, the Kenny Omega Zack Sabre Jr. build was a complete opposite. Totally made me not want to see the match. Yeah, that was, I don't even know if we can call it a build. It was not good.
It makes me wonder, will they pull the trigger on a Sami Zayn championship win at Night of Champions this quickly?
Yeah. Well, we should talk about that. Like where we're going between now and SummerSlam. Let me get a couple chat comments in here and then introduce this, but pin that for later. Swole 74 says, it felt odd to me, honestly, when they went to start the match. It threw off my equilibrium. Interesting. Hope you regained your balance. Powder Pete said, yes, smug Gunther coming to the ring, thinking he had the ref in his pocket was a nice touch. Yeah, I mean, we're praising Sammy and Cody. I mean, I want to praise Gunther too. I mean, you did, but the chat has.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, Gunther is really playing this part well. He's expanding a little bit. Not too much where it seems like he's abandoning who he used to be, but he is showing more range as a heel, more emotions, less composure, I think is a key thing. Would be what I'd say is different about him now. You agree with that, Eric?
Yeah, he was so stoic for so long, and it worked for a long time, but you need to grow. You need to give us something different, and he is.
Yeah. Derek covered in the chat goes, I like the touch of Cody demanding the match to be restarted. Confident but honorable babyface move. Yes, absolutely.
He even apologized to the crowd. I don't know if you caught that, but when he got in the ring while the stuff was still going on in the back, he was like, I'm so sorry. We're going to fix this.
Yes. So. Yep. I knew. I mean, Cody can be a little much sometimes too, but he is striking a good balance of not being too much. Gunther, as a heel, you want him to be a little much. as opposed to just be so composed that, you're kind of, that you find yourself kind of drawn to his composure. So yeah, I just think they're doing a really good job here. Yeah. So, okay. There's more comments in the chat, but, Goodfellas says, I did enjoy Cody, the Cody restart agreed. A little syntax there, but, he goes, Cody was playing the cards he has. Yeah. All right. Let's pause. Let's introduce ourselves here. We're 20 minutes in, and then get to calls and more topics from this show. This is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show for Friday, June 19th, 2026. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show, editor, publisher, and founder of the Pro Wrestling Torch weekly newsletter and the website PWTorch.com, and the host of a variety of podcasts, including the Wade Keller Post Shows, which are both on the PWTorch YouTube channel and available as a podcast feed for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search Wade Keller, and you'll see the red logo pop up when you search Wade Keller. You'll also see a blue logo pop up when you search Wade Keller. The red logo is the post show format I host after Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. We also have other content on the podcast feed that's not on our YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe. And then the blue logo show includes our weekly flagship that drops on Tuesday nights. And Jason Paul from ProWrestling.net joined me this week. And also pay-per-view previews, media Q&As, interviews, new and classic interviews, and flashbacks going back 5, 10, 15 years. All free. Subscribe if you want to get commercial-free versions of those shows, along with a bunch of VIP exclusive content, including Rich Fan and I talked for an hour and a half or 2 hours today on a wide array of topics, including like 20-plus minutes on Rich Fan attending the Knicks parade in New York City. It had a wrestling tie-in because of Danhausen, but had a fun conversation about that. Trashing Wemby for being a dirty player. We're in agreement on that. Talking about Kat and his growth, and Jalen Brunson not having facial expressions and why. Really fun conversation at the start of the VIP exclusive Everything with Rich and Wade. Yesterday was The Fix with Todd Martin that I host, and we covered a lot of current events topics and also a fun mailbag, including someone gave us, I think, 6 pairs of parent and child in wrestling, and we ranked who we would most want to sit next to on a plane flight and why. The mailbag is fun. I mean, sometimes just, a question you expect, but the Fix VIP members who listen to the Fix and send in questions do a great job keeping us on our toes and coming up with creative scenarios. So you're missing out on a lot if you're not a VIP member. Those are just 2 examples in the last 48 hours of what you're missing out on. We'd love for you to be a VIP member. Of course, it's a business. We want customers, and we want you to be a customer. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But we give you a lot in return. PWTorch.com/GoVIP. And you can dive into nearly 4 decades of archives. It's really cool stuff if you haven't done it yet. And our podcast, VIP podcast feed is customizable. You can subscribe to individual shows, clusters of shows. It's when you sign up, if you use an iPhone, there's just a link you click, and it just signs you up for our VIP feed. There's no advanced settings or any complicated stuff. It's really slick. So yeah, join us, PWTorch.com/GoVIP. I'm joined by Eric Corbridge. He is a PW Torch contributor. He writes SmackDown reports on PW Torch alongside mine most Fridays. Eric, welcome. Good to have you back in the co-host chair.
Thanks, Wade. It's great to be here. And I'll plug the VIP too, because I'm still on my back issues journey. And right now I'm in 1996, exactly 30 years ago, when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash showed up on Nitro and Brian Pillman signed with WWF. There's a lot of interesting stuff there.
Wow. Oh yeah. I need to go back and reread some of my issues. It would be there's so much I've written about that I've forgotten about. I mean, in these back issues. And when I hear what other people are reading, it's wonderful. I'm like, oh, I want to go experience that again. It's been so long. On occasion really I do, fun. But yeah, I appreciate that.
Especially when I see the parallels to things that are happening now. Like I had seen something that you had said about Shawn Michaels winning the title and holding off on a year to build that up. And then the exact same thing happened with Cody, and we saw it happen successfully. So I just thought it was fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, my coverage goes to the pre-internet days. I mean, there was there was an internet on college campuses where you could email a scientist, but it wasn't really, we have years and years and years of pre-internet wrestling coverage on demand with those back issues of the newsletter and hundreds of retro radio shows from the 90s before there were podcasts and websites. So fun stuff. Appreciate the specific endorsement, Eric. It's fun to let people kind of know. This is kind of the thing. You're not going to, you can read Wikipedia if you want, but if you want to read contemporaneous coverage with the Torch style of approaching it, that VIP membership, that whole back issue library and all all the old podcasts and radio shows are a blast. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, so pwtorch.com/govip, sign up. We encourage you, if you're watching us live here on our YouTube post show, to join in the chat. We've thrown some comments up there, and read them out loud. We always do that. If we put something on the screen for the people watching, we want the majority of you are listening on the podcast side of things. We want you to know what we're talking about. So we'll continue to do that. But if you are live, we encourage you to participate there. If you would rather, or it just is logistically easier, you can email us, wadekellerpostshow@gmail.com. If you want to be part of the show, especially if you can't watch our live feed afterwards, but you watch the show live, you got a question, a comment, a suggestion of a topic, that's the way to participate. And then you can also be a caller. The link to be a caller is in my TV reports at PWTorch. Just go to the SmackDown, Dynamite, or Raw. It changes every time. So if you're watching Dynamite, you want to be on the Dynamite post show, go to my Dynamite report, click on that link, and then you can be in the waiting room, and we'll bring you on. Okay. I think that covers the business we need to cover. So let's get back to a lot that's going on the show. I think we'll go to callers first, so we don't steal their thunder. And so the show doesn't go super long where we start repeating stuff. So, Darrell, I don't see you on camera. So are you okay waiting for us to take Crofton first? Thumbs up, or do you want to go first? Okay, he says he's fine. I know he sticks with us. So we'll go to Crofton first here. Crofton, welcome. Good to see you again.
Hey, great to see you, Wade. Great to see you, Eric. Long time no call, but I don't take it personally. Everything you were saying at the beginning, Eric, about Sammy, the Sammy crash out is so good. This is a great episode of SmackDown. I loved it so much. Wade, I'm sure I'm not sure if it's a rude dog. There's some listener that is infatuated with Bailey. I remember, and I feel like
CJ. Yeah.
CJ.
Yeah.
I am becoming the CJ of Sami Zayn, or whatever that is.
Yep.
And last week I asked, is Sami Zayn too good at his job? And Eric, you're echoing a little bit of what I'm saying here. Like, I would also wear that T-shirt. I am also worried not worried, but I also couldn't imagine after the Montreal experience being in a spot where I would want Sammy to win the title any other way. But here we are in a different version of Sammy. Mm-hmm. And I just got to salute the complexity of that opening match. For Sammy to have the moral high ground, or to believe that he has the moral high ground,
to not have it sound absurd when he makes a case.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So much has to go right or not go wrong. Little bumps, little touches, who pushes who in what order. Even backstage, Gunther takes a shot at him and throws him into the wall. So when he comes out and he's hot and he's attacking Gunther, every piece of it fits together to continue Sammy's spiral. And I really enjoyed also that match starting the show, not just for the match's sake, but for the fact that it then led to so many great backstage segments. Like Eric, you mentioned a story that goes throughout the show. There was so much great. Sammy's interaction with Jay later on the show was just great, foreshadowed many possibilities while acknowledging past history. His exchange, everybody got in Nick Aldis's face, but Sammy's exchange with
Aldis
Nick
did good tonight too. But let's compliment Nick. We're complimenting all the rest. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. He did. They all did very well in that main block A story. I enjoyed it. And even the camera work, what they did with the split screen where Cody goes out and they're following him, but they're still showing the blue room gorilla position with the screen in the back. I don't remember ever seeing a shot really like that in wrestling before. And then it cuts to Cody, who, as the chat pointed out, had some great babyface moments here, asking to restart the match. Also just not willing to accept a win that was clearly handed to him, all of that stuff was really great. So I loved that both in the moment and throughout the show. Every time there was a little segment furthering that story, it kept me going, even though I knew that they gave us the big chunk off the beginning. So I agree with everything you guys were saying there. Yeah. I guess Do they give the belt to Sammy to continue your conversation from earlier?
Yeah,
Is this
yeah.
is this what's going to happen?
So Eric, you brought it up. Crofton has reintroduced it here. I'm glad. What do you think the options are and the likelihood?
I do still think the likelihood is kind of low. I just because I don't want to say it's rushed, but it's a little bit rushed. I think if anything, they might hold it off for SummerSlam. But then there's the added factor of it being in Saudi Arabia, which is one of Sami Zayn's like 17 countries he can claim as his own. So he'll get a strong reaction there. But do they want a reaction there? Like, do they want it to be a negative reaction when he wins the championship?
Mm-hmm.
So I think personally, they probably will wait till SummerSlam. And I do think he will win it at SummerSlam. Crofton, you just mentioned the same thing I did about the hoping for him to get the babyface win. And I don't mean to continue to compare him to Canadian wrestlers, but it feels like how Chris Jericho never quite had the timing to have that babyface world championship win in WWE. Like he won it as a heel a couple of times and did well, but never quite lined up, even though he was oftentimes one of, if not the most popular babyface wrestler in the company. So it feels very similar to me. And I would say just pull the trigger. He deserves it. He'll have plenty of opponents to face, and then he can still build up to another babyface championship win at another point. It just won't be his first win, and it'll be fine.
And we had that late in the show where Sammy is telling Jay, right? There were a lot of segments that
yes,
you good luck if you beat Oba, but it's not Cody you'll be wrestling, and right. So, you want to add that to sort of canon. You want Sammy to be saying that could happen to plant that seed.
Yeah. I was so not looking at that, and yes, I should have done the math that we just added Sammy to this match, but all we've heard about is how Jay was going to challenge Cody. And so when Sammy said, I don't think you're going to challenge Cody, I thought he was going to say you're going to challenge Roman and was going to try to stoke that flame again. Yep. Didn't even dawn on me that he was about to say himself. So there's just so many options.
And I think, my analysis and podcasts that I've done the last few weeks has been focused on Cody as champ at SummerSlam because it just feels most likely, and also like he sort of should. I mean, I feel like Cody's just sort of been, screwed over a little bit here and there with some of the storylines. Like even if he's still in big matches, taking him out of the main event slot at one of these two nights at US Bank Stadium to move him down to then move Sammy into a defense feels like a slight on Cody in a meta way that fans might be upset with. And he's doing well and things are going well, but you could also have Cody as a challenger, and then Cody would be in chase mode, but Sammy would be the champion. And we haven't discussed that as much because I don't think it's as likely, but part of it is I just sort of like forget that it could, I have like these two parallel worlds going on, the March to SummerSlam and then also this story. And this story could end with a shakeup of our assumption that if Jay wins King of the Ring because Lesnar attacks Oba or whatever, it could be Jay against Sammy or Jay against Gunther or Jay against Cody, or we end up in a four-way. I hate to introduce that into the universe of discussion, but maybe they go that direction, and then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, because Jay as King of the Ring one-on-one against any of them doesn't feel main event worthy, but let's just throw them all four in the ring.
Yeah, I agree. They could even go if Gunther gets distracted somewhere else, I could see Cody versus Sammy versus Jay as a main event, an actual main event of one of the nights, if not night two.
Yeah,
unless they're gonna do Oba versus Roman.
Right.
And there's a lot of history with all those characters, so you get invested more. I also think Wade to Cody's, Cody being in chase mode. I think one of the things with Cody is that he lacks a true rival sometimes. Like he's associated with Roman Reigns, obviously, as big rivals in the John Cena, Randy Orton sort of. They'll sort of now be perpetually associated together. But I think Sammy could really be like his edge to John Cena, like his kind of a heel that wins by hook or by crook, and like really like holds on to the title through underhanded measures, and you're just desperate to see Cody regain it, but he keeps it for quite a long time because you know that unlike a Drew McIntyre that's very physically imposing, Sammy is less so. So it kind of works for him more. So I could really see if they wanted to go in that direction and have Sammy have like even from SummerSlam to WrestleMania be like just escaping with the title every which way, and you're desperate for Cody to get his hands on him. I think that would be a ride worth taking.
I mean, Sammy's so entertaining. You want to consider something, you think, well, is he a strong centerpiece champion? Well, when you have 2 world titles, for better, for worse, with that setup, you can afford to have someone not be like the face of the company for a long stretch of time as champion. So, if we want to talk ourselves into that as an option, obviously we don't have to talk ourselves into thinking Sammy would be entertaining, both in terms of match quality and promos, and it'd be a fun journey. So yeah, perhaps. Crofton, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, just changing the topic to the main event. I was actually wondering what the main event was going to be on the show all the way through. They tell you what's coming up, but they didn't necessarily say this. The women are going to main event the show, and I thought the main event match was good, and it was interesting to see Charlotte put in this injury situation. But it did seem like the exact same situation Javon Evans was in earlier on that exact same show, which is that he had an injury in a qualifier for King of the Ring that gave him an out. The announcers were going heavy on Charlotte, being like, this is who she is. She's really resilient. She's never going to quit. I thought at one point Alexa was going to throw in the towel for her, which I thought would have been an interesting angle and maybe lead to tension between them over time and like the culmination of their best friends thing, but they didn't. They just, Charlotte's tap out was also very almost difficult to see happen very quickly. But yeah, I thought it was a good match. But one thing that I've noticed, and you guys have mentioned about the weirdness of Liv Morgan as double champ, and they seem to tiptoe around it even though they mention it. It seems like a weird thing, but I am looking for a big angle on the women's side, and I'm hoping that maybe the Queen of the Ring leads to it, but it just feels like what they're doing with Sammy and Cody and Gunther, the bloodline, even the new bloodline, the Vision, like these are like fully invested angles that flow over multiple segments that involve multiple characters that really get wrestling fans excited. And I just like leading up to WrestleMania, I'm not sure if you guys remember, for the women's tag team, they just had these same tag teams fighting each other with like really no story to build a multi-woman match. And then I thought, well, once we get past WrestleMania, they'll start having like some compelling women's stories. They'll have more oxygen. There's a 3-hour SmackDown, and it just feels like I was glad to see them in the main event. I was just a little bummed that it seemed like a repeat of an angle I'd seen on the same show. And also like, I am not sure, like, what is Charlotte's big angle out of this? Or like, how is this leading to something bigger or greater or a larger story in the women's division? Do you guys have any thoughts based on what we saw tonight?
I'll throw a chat coming up, and then I'll throw to you, Eric. Darrell says, I like that Charlotte tapped out. I understand they're trying to continue her down the lane of a baby face. I'll add this, so Pile Driver Picos, I'm sorry, Charlotte is a yawn to me, and I don't understand the champ in the tournament thing either. Eric, yeah, where does this shake out? Are you more confident that this will be a better scenario than Crofton referenced from earlier this year?
Well, starting off, I do like Crofton, I like your idea a lot better. They should have had Alexa throw in the towel. I think that would have been fascinating to see how that played out. Because it did seem a little shocking that Charlotte tapped out the way she did after pleading and protesting that she would never quit. It kind of took away from a little bit of that for me, but, I'll touch on it now because I wanted to mention anyway. Charlotte yelling "my knee" 30 times in the match. No one would do that in real life if their knee was hurt. They wouldn't just start yelling "my knee, my knee."
They also wouldn't do a big boot standing on one leg.
Yeah, and that too. It was just
you would adjust your style. Yeah.
In contrast, I thought Javon, yes, they were very similar. He was selling his ribs, but I thought he was much more effective at selling his ribs. And it almost felt like you could see him struggling to breathe compared to Charlotte, who was just like yelling constantly and just seemed odd. But anyway, more importantly, Crofton, your comments about building more elaborate and connected storylines among the women. I'm not sure who they have that's capable of doing that and like pulling that end of it besides maybe Becky Lynch. I don't know if anyone else is capable of, and that's including Ripley, it's including Flair. Cargill's not there yet. Alexa Bliss, I think, could actually probably pull it off outside the ring, but I don't know who they have that can do what Cody and Sammy and all those guys are doing. So maybe I'm wrong and I'm underestimating some of them, but I just haven't seen it. Oh, Wade, you're muted.
Crofton, any thoughts on what Eric had to say there?
No, like I agree with that. On face, I do think that, like, even if you create a faction anchored by a Becky Lynch, where people are working on their facial reactions and similar to what, you know, the Usos and Jacob Fatu were doing behind Roman, often in multiple bloodline segments. I know that there is a smaller depth chart, but it just feels like there hasn't been a ton of effort to craft a story that or an angle that is really women focused, as opposed to like let's face it, like, in my opinion, the Vision angle is a train wreck, and I know that that's related to multiple things, including injuries that are outside of anyone's control, but there was an effort made there. And like, is Austin Theory so much better than some of these ladies in terms of those mannerisms? I'm not convinced, but they gave him the runway or the angle and the gravitas of that, lending importance to it through multiple segments, association with Paul Heyman. Why can't Paul Heyman be involved in a women's angle? You know, like I'm just saying, like, there's ways.
We might get that with Maxine Dupree.
That's true.
Well,
that's not who I would
as far
have
as the
guessed.
women go, the one that they can play if they wanted to have a more interconnected angle would be when the Judgment Day ever falls apart. But I'm not convinced that anyone outside of Liv Morgan can actually hold their weight in that one. But they do have the connections built up there to have something happen.
I think the Queen of the Ring bracket I've talked less about the last couple of weeks for some of the reasons Crofton is pointing out, but I'll say in framing it as a defense is I just don't think it's as clear, but I also am not resigned to it not being well thought out and good. It just is, Liv as champ gonna win, and what does that mean? Because they put the graphic on the screen, the winners of King and Queen get a title shot at SummerSlam. So where does that go? So we could explore that. You know, we could explore that, but then you look at the brackets, you're like, well, if Io Sky wins, then where does that lead? And then you have the Rhea Ripley injury situation where it's sort of like, well, do we want to spend a lot of time talking about something if we don't know what's going to happen? So I don't know. I mean, I'm punting a little bit, Crofton, on the women's side of things, because it's less, it's a cop-out, but it's just like less clear, and I just kind of want to wait to see what they have in mind, because I don't see something that's obvious that they should do. But of the options that exist in the whole range of things, I mean, nothing is like off-putting so much that I feel I need to do a pre-execution rant on it either. So I'm just kind of, I don't really have a lot to say about it yet. And now we'll get, you know, Liv and Sky, and then Sky wins, and then that earns her a title shot against Liv. I mean, that seems the path of least resistance.
Well, unless Sky decides, we don't know when Ripley's coming back.
That's the thing, and that's why it's hard to analyze this.
Yeah, if Sky made the choice of said, no, I want to wait and challenge Ripley, that would be interesting.
Yeah. Can you delay it if one of the two world champs aren't available? Yeah. All right, Crofton, anything else you want to bring up?
Yeah, just before changing topics, I will say in Charlotte's defense about my knee, Eric, that my daughter accidentally kicked me between the legs earlier, and I kept saying my balls. So, like, I mean, it does happen that people say that. So, I wanted to talk about the Saints Carmelo match, just because I thought it was the best match technically of the show. I thought it was really, really smooth, but I have very little emotional investment in either characters. I realized, but I thought I had to give them credit for getting me into the match, knowing that they were 1-1, being like, is somebody going to interfere here? Is it going to be a clean finish? Even removing the turnbuckle, I thought was done super well, and it felt believable. That Carmelo move that he did, where he did somehow ended up in a DDT where he couldn't see the guy, that, like, I feel like Bret Hart would say is very dangerous, and I would never trust someone to do that to me. But like, it looked cool as a viewer, so I appreciated what they did there. With Ricky Saints, they keep talking. The announcers talk often about his charisma. To me, like, oh, he's got so much charisma, and it feels like that friend that you tell everybody has a lot of charisma, but really he doesn't. But you're trying to like sell him, and so, like, when I compare, like, Trick has charisma, I just haven't, like, Ricky. I'm not necessarily sure. I didn't follow his AEW career and his NXT career, so this is my first exposure to him. He seems like a very smooth wrestler, but beyond a couple of poses, I don't really know much more about him.
His gimmick is that he is charismatic.
Okay, great.
It's not like, I'm in a sense. I mean, it is like, that's Eric. Am I wrong? I mean, that's his gimmick is, I'm charismatic.
It is his gimmick. Whether he's living his gimmick, that's a different story. I've never seen it with him in AEW or NXT either. Cody's his friend. What are you gonna do?
And when he was on NWA Power, he caught people's attention. He stood in front of that podium and he had a cadence and a rhythm and a confidence to what he said. I think the issue, I mean, I won't do a whole segment on Ricky, but I think there's been issues with, concussions or injuries where there was a lack of confidence in going with him. There were some situations in AEW where on the microphone in the ring, he just didn't quite achieve what people projected who were advocating for him he would achieve. And then I think he had a crisis of confidence, which you can't afford to do when your gimmick is you are cocky and full of yourself and supremely, self-assured. And so it was a bit of a mess. And then, being part of the Codyverse, when Cody left, it took away, an advocate. They stayed friends, and now, he's getting a chance. But I mean, there are people in WWE who like him, but they like him at this level.
Yeah.
And, I mean, but I think Ricky has a chance to prove he's more than this. But I also think this is just fine. I mean, this is fine. He's good in this role. He looks like a upper mid-card star. I don't know with the size and the he's, kind of got a thin frame. And like you said, Crofton, his gimmick, he's charismatic, but there is with him, and this is where I think WWE can help him, and I think it's in him, but can he grow beyond striking a pose and like 3 catchphrases? Is he going to lean on that so much? But we talked about Gunther earlier. I mean, Gunther, was kind of, had his catchphrases and the way he talked, and it was like, it's great, but we want him to grow beyond that. And now he is. So maybe when the storyline presents itself, as Ricky gains some confidence and footing, he'll get better. So anyway,
I just find that his facial reactions seem very cartoonish when I'm watching a match. They seem like over the top, the kick out at 2 and all. Like, it just seems like he is putting on a show a little bit more than it feels natural. Mm-hmm. So but that said, take nothing away from the match that they had, which I thought
you complimented. Yeah,
was a fantastic match, and I look forward to seeing both. Carmelo in particular has now been around quite some time. I'm not sure what it takes me to get emotionally invested in him. I haven't been around enough to know what he's missing, I guess, that is making me not connect with him. But by the end of his matches, I normally have connected. So he's definitely bringing it in the ring. I just had one other topic, guys, which was
let me pause you for just to read a couple comments on the chat related to what you're just saying. Powder for Pete said Ricky is made for U.S. champion division, and that's where he was in AEW too. He was going after secondary titles. Carlman 7000 says, not the feature thing on the card in Mello 2. Mello could do more. I do not think he is there yet, but I think he has more in him. I think Ricky is where he is. In other words, I think he's saying Ricky, this is Ricky's spot, but he's hoping for more for Carmelo. And yeah, Carlman just goes, this is a great spot for Ricky. I mean, that's the thing. Like, don't lament it. He's like, I think this is what he would have taken this. Like, what's the oh no, I can't. Let's Make a Deal, the old game show. Like, do you want this prize or what's behind the curtain? I think he'd take this prize. I don't think he'd risk it. You know, like I think he's totally, not that he's not going to aspire for more. I don't know, but to me, I just think Ricky'd be smart to go, I'll just take this, you know, this toaster oven or this whatever, you know, as opposed to taking a chance it's a booby prize behind the curtain. I think this is a good spot for him, but you know, he might prove he deserves more. Okay. Go ahead, Crofton. Yeah.
I just think that now he's new and fresh, and this is where he is. I just could see a world where he is behind Danhausen with one of those metal electric things on his head next to the Miz and Kit Wilson, right? Like it's, you know, I'm sure he is happy where he is right now. I look at the cartoonish reactions. I look at some of this stuff. I look at what they did with Johnny Gargano planking on a box. And I think to myself that, you know, Ricky could be in a danger zone if he's not careful and grows and develops his character more. And he has tons of time to do that. Right.
Yeah. Couple more Ricky quotes here. Then we'll go to Crofton. Sorry. Carlman says exactly, Wade, regarding him just being happy and content with the spot he's in. 7-11 says, kind of wish Saints and Ethan Page's roles were reversed. Ethan on SmackDown feeding a trick and Mello would have worked better in my opinion. Sadler version 3 goes, I think Saints is decent at doing a promo about himself and his character, but can he tell stories on the mic like Sammy or Jay? I've yet to see it. That's actually a good point. You know, what Ricky does is he goes into, I am a charismatic, confident heel. And can he have more nuance and layer? I think it's a good point. It's something to look for. And if they write it for him and he executes it, maybe we'll look at him differently. So, okay. Yeah, I read that. Then Darrell says Ricky did win in a heel way, and that was a good thing. 7-11 adds, as far as Ethan goes, same with Ricky befriending Rusev. That would fit Saints more. Carl Mann says, I never saw much in Ethan Page past indie guy, but now I feel like he might have a chance to be on the A team one day. Eric, how do you feel about that, by the way?
Ethan Page being on the A team?
Yeah, just real quick.
I mean, anything's possible. I see him more as like maybe on the B team, but
it has entered my mind more than I thought it would at this stage, but he hasn't crossed that threshold into, you know, I see him in a PLE world title match. I'm not there yet, but he's really good in the role. Okay.
I will say I've been impressed, and and him getting in better shape has helped too.
Yeah. Goodfella says Ethan is going to get Rusev over. So there we are. Okay, Crofton, I'll stop. Go ahead.
Yeah, in terms of looking at people differently, I found I looked at Solo Sikoa differently tonight, and I think that is the spillover from the Bloodline 2.0 or whatever we're calling it storyline over on Raw. Having Jacob Fatu backstage, I guess he just visits SmackDown all the time now. To be fair, he was there, I think, as a contingency plan for Jay, if anything went awry there, and I absolutely expected him to come out at one point during the Jay match or there to be some sort of interference. The fact that it ended the way that it did was actually a bit surprising to me. But the Solo segments in the back I thought were really interesting because I feel like Solo has been in this stasis for the past, I don't know, year plus, where like it feels like he has his MFTs and they keep teasing Descent but then not having Descent, and I don't know, it felt important tonight when they lost their tag match and we're kind of talking to him, and you know, his backstage segments. I think, like, I'm hopeful that it is going to lead to him perhaps getting brought back into the Bloodline storyline, because I think he needs to change. And in the Bloodline, he never said anything during his entire time in that segment, and now he has a voice, and I feel that would bring some freshness to the Bloodline storyline. How did you guys feel about Solo tonight, and what do you think his future looks like?
earlier today with Rich Fan on Everything with Rich and Wade, I was like, I'm not excited about Solo being in this Bloodline storyline. But I've been a fan of his. It's kind of like the Ricky Saints discussion. I feel like he's improved, but I don't know that, to me, like if this the Tama Tonga thing is kind of in my head too. Like, are they going to utilize Solo to get him somewhere else, and then Jacob Fatu interacting with Solo seems appropriate because they both were in similar roles under Roman. So it's not inappropriate he's involved in this. But what I get hung up on is there a Solo Sikoa match you want to see involving any of these people? Solo Jacob, Solo Tama probably, but that's not really related to the bloodline. That's just sort of his intra-family stuff. He's good at what he does, and he has grown as a character. But I don't think as he's grown, it's come with like a sense of menace or main event edge to him. So he's a good utility guy, and I don't mind him kind of being in this, but I don't know. I am hung up on, like, I just don't know that he's interesting enough to justify being a prolonged key figure in this story. I don't think it's ridiculous that he is. I'm not going to be excited about it. But that's not a diss on him. I mean, it kind of is, I guess, but because I mostly like what he's doing. I just don't think it's main event. And I think, I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, I feel bad because props me right. I mean, I watched him tonight, and I'm having the thoughts you have. Hey, he's good at this. Like, he's good, and what he's being asked to do. He's doing a good job with it. It's just sort of I hit a ceiling with him, and I'm like, wait, now you're starting to go above that line with the story you're involved in. Eric.
So, funny enough, I agree with both of you. But it's because I've thought Solo has been doing a great job with everything that he's had to carry a lot on his own, some of this mid-card stuff. But I don't get too excited about his matches. There's just not a whole lot to get excited about. And like you said, Wade, there's not a whole lot of like matches that I would get excited about just thinking about him being in that match. But at the same time, I think it would be a big hole on SmackDown if he wasn't there anymore to carry some of these mid-card storylines, even when it goes to 2 hours soon. And I don't know how Tama and Tala would do if he's not around to kind of play off of what he's doing. I think he necessarily has to have hopefully a brief stay in this new bloodline storyline just to find a way to get him out of it and into something more that involves Royce Keys. I think that's where they need to lean and have something more with them and build something from that. But I think you almost have to do something with the bloodline first to kind of eliminate him from it. I just don't know what that is.
I just enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed him more tonight than I have in a really long time. So I feel like whatever they're doing here is working for him. And I think it again shows the impact of these, show spanning storylines. I also find it very funny that Tama is pissed at Solo talking to Jacob when all he did was talk to Shinsuke Nakamura for like 3 months. And he's like, you're talking to your cousin? Oh, I'm pissed. Make up your mind, man. Like, what's a distraction and what's not? But he hated the lantern, so I'll always love him for that.
That's right.
Yeah. I like the shift in Solo from being the calculated and I'm trying to control everyone in my MFT group when it was more of them. To now he's like turning into paranoid Solo. Like he's like, well, wait, why are you here, Fatu? Why are you here, Jacob? But tell Roman. Like, I like that part of it. I think he does that better. So I want him to see him keep doing that, more of that.
Derek Mitchell in the chat says, I think Solo is being positioned as a conduit similar to LA Knight, where his role is to help elevate others rather than focus on getting himself over. I think that is astute. Goodfella says Royce Keys in the mix has been interesting. And I think, that's just sort of there as a thing that once we get past whatever we think is overshooting Solo's role in this bloodline storyline, the Royce Keys thing can be where he lands in a relevant place afterwards once they kind of use him how they need to use him as a conduit. 7-Eleven says, much rather see Solo lose his family and be desperate enough to recruit someone like Danhausen to acknowledge him. I don't know about that. Carl Mann says, Solo's a great performer backstage and interacting with people. Goodfella says, Tama needs the Band-Aid pulled off soon and Nakamura will be there for it. So will I. I think there's one other comment that I wanted to throw up on him here. Let's see. 7-Eleven says Solo's been in the Bloodline role since he debuted on the main roster. Paldover Pete says a manager Solo can take bumps. That might be his thing. It's just the MFTs aren't exciting. Yeah, I mean, I could see Solo, kind of being a player coach of sorts, where you don't expect him to be in the main event, but he kind of manages and talks, because there is a strength there. It's just, there's just something about him in a match against a true top tier guy that I just feel like is going to feel kind of B team.
Yeah, I think ever since he lost that tribal combat match to Roman, it's been downhill as far as the perception of him in the ring. And then with Jacob Fatu coming in, it took everything that he had.
Yep. Carl Mantis, I'm intrigued by Solo's storyline right now. I think he's great. So some compliments. All right, Crofton, anything else quick you want to sneak in? We got a couple other people on hold.
No, thank you both. I appreciate you both. And thanks to Darrell in the chat, I think, who was waiting, and I really appreciate him too. So thank you, guys.
Awesome. Always enjoy your call. Thanks, Crofton.
Cheers. Talk to you, Crofton. See you.
Bye.
Darrell, do you want to wait to be third? Are you there? You're fine with that? Okay, let's go. Let's take Rucker. Darrell hangs out the whole time, so some people might have to get to bed. So we'll bring Rucker on. Rucker, welcome.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? What's on your mind about SmackDown tonight?
Well, I got a couple of things y'all were just talking about with the Bloodline storyline. I'm just confused by it. Like, Jay comes out and he wrestles as a heel, but he does his entire Yeet entrance.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he's with Roman, he's just back to being the yes man when he was literally the world champion a year ago. I was a big Bloodline fan the first go round, but this one just has me like, I have no idea where it's going and what it's for.
Eric, I've talked about this. What do you think?
Sure. Well, and even to add to what you're saying, Rucker, he also showed a lot of sportsmanship after the match with Javon and held his arm up. Like, that's not where we've been going with Jay.
Right.
Overall, big picture, I've felt from the beginning that this was let's make up for Roman's long title reign being full of interference, and we're going to build up Roman to have a title reign where he can show he can do it all on his own. And he's going to win back the respect of all these family members the right way, and they're going to unite as this big babyface group. However, I'm wondering if they're starting to change their mind with the rise of Obafemi, because I don't know if they counted on it being so sudden that now they're seeing. I know, Wade, you've been a big advocate for heel Roman versus babyface Oba, whether it's at SummerSlam, WrestleMania, or wherever. I'm wondering if they're starting to course correct a little bit themselves, and they don't know where it's going anymore. So maybe they are starting to lean more, because it sure felt like Roman was acting like a heel on Raw when he's having, Fatu attack a comedian with no remorse.
I know.
So,
yep.
I'm starting to wonder if it's confusing because they're confused.
And my worry is even worse than confusion, as they have to adjust on the fly. We were talking about something earlier, just like that. Oh, Trick and Sammy, like where the crowd responds, kind of, they get ahead of the story. So maybe that's what they're scrambling with. But I also worry they just don't think it's important to have characters with consistent constitutions. Jay, people, I haven't said the word yet. I'll say it. The communal experience of Jay's ring entrance. People pay to see it. We got to give it to them. It's just like singing Seth's song, chanting OTC, all that stuff. It's like WWE just feels like, we got to give the fans that. That's what they're paying money to see. And they're scared to take it away from them, even though it makes absolutely no sense. And then they have JB a good sport. And it's like, Rich Fan and I were comparing the Jay and really the kind of the current Bloodline storyline to the classic early 2000s TV series, The Shield from on FX. And we're like, Jay is like Walton Goggins' character, Detective Shane Vendrell, just like he's the unpredictable, unsteady hothead. But then tonight he's like Officer Julian Lowe. He's like, Officer Julian, just this sweet guy who's just wants to do right. And, hey, I'm going to get cheers from the fans. I'm going to wrestle I'm going to raise the hand of my opponent after I beat him and give him points. It's like, there's not consistency there. And I worry, Eric and Rucker, that WWE just doesn't think that's important because they compartmentalize. It goes back to the whole John Cena nonsense of, hey, any reaction is a good reaction. You know, it's like, well, no, you're trying to get him over as a babyface, and almost all your male fans are booing him. That's not a success. Is it better than no response? Of course, but it's a far second place to everyone cheering him, which is everything you're doing is trying to get people to cheer Cena, and they're not. And then it happened with Roman again, and now I just think they're scared. Like they have like, you know, I don't like to minimize the term PTSD because it's, you know, so serious, but it's a little. There's like a burn-in on the screen of like we don't want to. We have people being cheered, so even when you turn them heel, we don't want to not have them cheered anyway. I don't know.
Right.
I'm just. I share Rucker's frustration with it.
I do too. I think there's a big difference too between we're singing Sami Zayn's praises on how he's effectively balancing both sides of it, but yet we're criticizing the way Jay is portraying himself. The difference is Sami is actually fighting it with the fans. He's fighting the reaction, like with them. So that's, to me, is what makes it work, as opposed to Jay and even Jimmy. When I forget what comment Jimmy made a few weeks ago to the crowd that seemed out of character for a babyface. But between the two of them and Roman, it just doesn't make any sense at all. And it's making something that could be a very focused story and probably be something, Rucker, you'd be happy with if it had a point to it, to coming across as convoluted and not allowing most fans to get as invested as we might want to.
Wade, when you just compared him to Walton Goggins, the first thing I thought was the TV show Justified with Walton Goggins, where he played Boyd Crowder. It was the same thing. You didn't know whether to love him, whether to hate him. He was a heel, he was a face.
As long as he doesn't play him in White Lotus, and I think we're okay.
He was good in that too. Actually.
Oh, he was great in that. Oh my God, he was great on Jimmy Kimmel a couple days ago this week. He was on the whole show.
I didn't even know he was on it.
He did science experiments, and he applauded an anti-Trump line, and the crowd popped. Of course, it's Kimmel, he was great. Told some great stories and jokes too. So anyway, he's like, and he's the fact that Walmart has the good taste to make him their spokesperson for their TV commercials has warmed me up to Walmart. Like that's how much I like enjoy him. I enjoy him in commercials. Yep.
My main issue with it though is that the original Bloodline story made me a Jey Uso fan over like a 4-year period. And now they've basically just like said to hell with everything that they've done when he was world champion last year, since he lost to Gunther. And it's just, I just don't understand. I don't understand where they want to go. I would be fine with if Brock came and cost Oba the King of the Ring and Jay ended up turning and wanting to go against Roman. That's a great story, but I just feel like there's not enough time in between. There hasn't been enough like connective tissue of the bloodline getting back together. Like it all just happened so fast.
I think I was about to say connective tissue too. Maybe you said it earlier, and that's why. But I think what we needed are little moments to bridge us from the Jay that you're talking about, the world champ. He loves the fans love him. There needed to be kind of a more of a moment, and maybe my memory is failing me, where he had a good run, but it came to an end, and Roman is back, and he's back more often, and Roman just kind of goes, you had your fun, you had your time, there's another title if you want to chase it down, but let's make it clear, I'm your tribal chief. And Jay just sort of snapped back into that. Like, I think there's probably like people who at work are sort of like an alpha person, but then like if their dad showed up, they just all of a sudden become the little kid again. Like, my dad's here. And all the workers would look at, all the coworkers would look and go, oh, I've never seen him not be the alpha at work, but his dad showed up and now he's subservient. I think if they had connective tissue, if they had a transition point that was really clear, and they actually kind of like underlined it, emphasized it, articulated it regularly, this Jay, the reason, Jay had this great run, he was on top of the world, it came to an end. He tried to get back there. He lost some of that confidence. The fans still love him, but he was looking for a place to go after that high, that wave that he rode, and he went home again. And then the announcers could be saying, or other wrestlers could be saying, LA Knight among them, Jay, you've accomplished a lot since the last time you were subservient to the tribal chief. Stand up for yourself more. And I think LA's trying to tell that story, but I don't think it's being told well enough. to not have Rucker, you have me nodding along to you going, what's going on here? And then you complicate it with, oh, but we have this communal experience that fans pay money to see, so we don't want to mess with it. That's why I'm about merchandise. Like, oh, we don't want to mess with the merchandise. I'm like, let merchandise fall where it falls. Just tell the best story, cast wrestlers in the best way. Don't worry about merch. And I know it's like easy to say because I'm not the one getting the residuals, and I'm not counting the beans behind the scenes. But honestly, if you focus on communal experience ring entrances, or don't make the best move because you're worried about costing yourself merch, I think you end up costing yourself a lot more in the end, because merch will just fall into place if you're telling really compelling stories with characters who resonate with fans. So there's a little sidebar on that kind of sprouting from this. Eric, I think I interrupted you or jumped in.
Oh, no. I mean, I agree. And it's just, I really think when they're writing all this, they're thinking, oh, it's okay that Jay and Jimmy have fallen in line behind Roman because he's the champion now. And we're supposed to think that they're convinced that that they're different and that Roman's treating them different now, so that it's okay to stand behind him right now. Because, Roman's saying things like, hey, there's another side end of the table and all these different things. So we're supposed to think it's cool now. And it just they haven't done a good enough job of explaining that or explaining Jay's motivations. They just had him talk out of both sides of his mouth too many times. Yeah. When what he thrived at was during the Bloodline story of his facial expressions and showing that he was a hothead, but that he was very emotional about everything. And going back to that Royal Rumble when Sammy finally turned and hit Roman with the chair. And I remember it was such a great moment, but what got me even more was when you turn around and Jay had left the ring when they beat him down and he couldn't do it. That was even bigger of a deal. And Jay and Sammy have rode that for a few years now, but now Jay's just lost and they need to fix it because he's got it in him.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say two things. One, the entrance, if you've noticed, they cut that off for like 2 months. And then out of nowhere, he's back doing it again tonight. And I think that had something to do with the LA Knight interaction from last week where he ran it back and the crowd went crazy again. And now they're like, oh, yeah, we should probably go back to doing that.
And they might think, what's going to sell tickets for SummerSlam, all the empty seats that's still at is fans wanting to pay to be part of the Jey Uso ring entrance. So we want that to coexist in a compartmentalized way that you pay and you get to be part of that in a big stadium show, even if it completely undercuts any logic to, how he's, because he's so good in the, Walton Goggins type role as this just pacing. I mean, and he's the one who snapped. He's the one who triggered Jacob Fatu. Jimmy's trying to, control him. And then we get a different version of him, too often. Darrell in the chat, who'll be joining us as the next caller, goes, Jimmy folded to Roman without him having to put in any work to show change at all. He didn't even have to show change for a whole show. They quickly bow down and Roman is still acting the same. And I think that is where people are disappointed in the story. Is maybe they think they're covering it, but it isn't emphasized enough to stop some people going, wait a second, why we like the other Jay? Where is that connective tissue that got us Jay back to this spot? And does that just mean they're just totally Roman centric and they're just treating Jay as a player we don't need to in this story, that they don't really need to worry about the detail work? But I think it's important and I think it's doable.
Yeah, and Eric, you brought up a good point with Jay and Sammy's relationship. I thought they tried to make something of that tonight, but I thought they just missed it completely. Like, if it just would have went with Jay just kind of checking on Sammy, like, you sure you're good? Like, because he's already playing the babyface, and them two kind of having the relationship of like, nobody's understanding me right now. Like, I'm trying to do this. And nobody's understanding what I'm doing. And I feel like they could have kind of bonded over that, regardless of where the story's going. But I think their relationship has been so conflicted over the years to the point where they ended up getting close with one another that they could have done a lot better with that little interaction tonight.
I would have been very intrigued if they had finished their conversation with, we need to talk, and just left.
Yeah.
And left together. Would have been very compelling.
Yeah. Comment in the chat, Cavanti Smalls says the only baby faces in Bloodline 2.0 are Jimmy and Jacob. They also seem to lack an adversary, making it all seem directionless. Powder Repeat says, yeah, hey, Jay needs to change that Eat music. Stop coming out of the crowd. Yeah. And I mean, I think it is jarring and confusing. 7-Eleven goes to Cody against Jay. Sounds like a very conflicting feud to picture. Who gets booed more? Cody got cheered. I mean, unless, I mean, Jimmy, like we see it with Seth. The fans sing a song and then they boo him when the bell rings. I think you should avoid that. You don't want to dull people's investment in rooting for or against somebody by giving them something that they like, OTC, and then Roman does something bad. Oh, boo. Like, eliminate the stuff that people are cheering. You know, Shinsuke changed his music when he went heel. I mean, it's not a crazy notion to take something away that fans enjoy about an act when you don't want them enjoying them in that same way. I don't know, it seems like the obvious thing to do, you know, all in all. I think it's a net positive. Even if you lose something, you gain more. Rucker, anything else?
Yeah, I have a couple little quick things. When I joined the show, you guys were talking about the Ricky versus Mello match tonight. Mm-hmm. And as I was watching it, I was thinking, this is not good for Trick. Because his entrance is great. Like, it's fun. I was there at WrestleMania when he had the train, the whole nine. But he can't put on a match like that. And I was thinking the U.S. title is a title of a, you know, it's kind of like the Intercontinental title where it's a quote-unquote workers title. Should they just go ahead and have Trick drop the title to Ricky Saints and have Saints and Mello and Ilya and people like that go over it and Trick just kind of do his thing on the side? Because I feel like these guys will leave him in the dust when the bell rings.
Plus, there's something about Trick with how red hot he was for a while that feels like a secondary title's defining him down. So you have this like kind of a pulling in two different directions. One, he seems like he should be a bigger star than that. But two, he's in a division that's built on work rate, and you know that people go, okay, this is where the workers are, and he's not that. He's not bad, but it just feels like a weird fit. And again, he got over as a babyface ahead of his push, ahead of the story. So, but yeah, he's coming across as having lost some momentum. But I don't know what you do about it. Like, I mean, what you wedge him in to what to keep his momentum? Sometimes I think bookers go, okay, this was about to happen. We don't want it to happen yet. We're going to pull back. We could pay a price, but we got to wait 6 months or 18 months before we do what the fans want us to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trick will be fine. I think you're absolutely right, Rucker. I mean, he's not going to put on a match like we saw tonight, even with Saints and Mello. And he's not going to put on the matches that Mello and Dragunov were having and all the U.S. open challenges. But he can still succeed, and he can really his character can carry him. And I think if he I assume he'll beat Saints. I assume he'll beat Mello. I don't know if I like that idea, but when he beats both of them and continues to beat some people, he'll just continue to grow, and he'll have his chance to show whether he can take it to the next level in the ring over the next 2 years. And it'll be up to him. If not, he'll fall back down and somebody else will take that spot.
7-Eleven in the chat says, I'm fine with Trick dropping the title soon, then Trick wins Willie in the Bank. Goodfella says, have Trick win some matches. What are we doing here? Goodfella goes, yeah, Garza and Umberto get Trick some wins, and they'll be bangers. Yeah, so anyway, go ahead, Rucker.
Another thing that I dislike about wrestling is what I like to call the dumbass babyface. And that was Charlotte tonight. And I want to preface this with, I have not liked Charlotte for 10 years. Like, she's been my least favorite women's wrestler. And between WrestleMania last year and now, they have rehabilitated her in my eyes to where I don't mind. Like, I'm cheering for her to win now way more than I ever have. But when you are on your way to a semifinals match for the Queen of the Ring and you walk up on 3 other women and you're just like talking trash to them, and then you turn your back and walk away and expect nothing to happen. Like, oh, I can just... And then I think she even like shoulder checked one of them as they were walking by. And then she just turns her head with this big like headdress on where she can't see behind her. And wonders like, oh my God, why is my knee being taken out now? Probably because you're a dumbass babyface. And I as a Sting fan, lifelong, Wade, like that's really a big pet peeve of mine.
Yeah,
like,
I get it. I get it.
Babyface.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's
Does
the
that,
yeah. Go ahead, Eric.
wait,
Yeah.
does that make Alexa Bliss Lex Luger? Is that what we're saying?
Alexa Luger. There you go.
Yeah. Um, I I've never been a big Charlotte fan either, even in the ring. I can't take watching her walk over clothesline anymore. I've had it, but again, she did also, her character was rehabbed in my mind too over the last year. I think Alexa Bliss had a lot to do with it. It really helped humanize her more. It seemed like Charlotte let go of what she was trying to be and just kind of like was more herself in real life, which helped. And I'm even okay with the direction they're going with her right now. I think they've set a lot up, but the story they tried to tell tonight just fell flat for me because it was so over the top. And having her tap out at the end of it was just kind of like it was like a cherry on top of you look bad tonight and we were trying to make you look good.
All right. All right, Rucker. Yeah, so she starting to win you over, and now she's a dumbass babyface.
Last thing,
Yeah.
the Cody Gunther Sammy storyline. I feel bad for Cody. Just they're doing the guy no favors. Like he just doesn't. He's been your champion for 2 years now, and he goes in the storylines and comes out of storylines, and he never looks good in any of them. And this one's one that's included. It was all about Sammy and Gunther tonight. He gets the win. He comes back out, of course, and he's like, "I want to restart the match." No, you don't. Just take the win and go home. But of course, the match gets restarted, and now they're gonna have a triple threat. We all saw that coming. Like, I think anybody that's been watching wrestling for 3 weeks knew that this was going to be a triple threat match. And it does Cody no favors because it makes it so predictable that the crowd reaction to what was going on during the match, like it just felt like everybody was kind of waiting on Sammy to do something in the match as the referee and then Sammy to come back out in the second match. And I don't know why they're booking Cody the way they are. Like he's supposed to be QB1. Like you're supposed to protect this guy, and they just can't book him correctly.
So I'm more with Goodfella in the chat. He says Cody is killing it, in my opinion.
That's not true, Goodfella.
I think Cody's just fine in this. Cody's job is not to be edgy, and he doesn't want to be boring, but his job is to be the moral, like, kind of grounded baseline of how a QB1 in WWE should act. It's not the sexiest role. You know, like, I mean, how many movies does a leading man get overshadowed by the best supporting actor or actress just doing something? Whoa, like that part was so much more exciting than the lead. You know, there's the villains sometimes steal the show from the babyface in superhero movies. So, or the antagonist, or the antagonist steals the show for the protagonist. So Cody's just in that spot. I think he's doing really well, and I think you need that. Like, I don't want Cody to be dynamic and controversial and even interesting. I want him to be a world champion who stands for something, and he creates that foundation around which all this chaos and these compromised people and conflicted people and people who are making moral, like, you know, bad decisions, and like, he's the guy who just grounds everything. And I think he's playing that well. I don't think they're letting him down now. He got to be the guy who goes to the ring and says, I mean, it's why Cody didn't want to win in a tainted fashion. Yes, Gunther got lawyers involved, but Cody wasn't like, no way, I beat him. Cody's like, yeah, let's do this right. I think I can beat him tonight. That wasn't the finish I wanted. I don't want people going, you're not the real champion. I want people to go, you earned the title you have. That's baked into Cody's character, and I think they're consistent with it. Eric, are you nodding along to me?
Yes, but I'll also say that for the better part of 2 years, I do agree that they struggled with how they were portraying him.
Yeah.
And it's what caused him to start getting more of a mixed reaction. But as for now, I think it's more, I think he's actually on the right track with this storyline going on right now. And you can see that because he's not been getting a mixed reaction over the last few weeks.
Right.
But I would say we can judge it more fairly once this storyline plays out. Because tonight was clearly supposed to be a chapter that wasn't focused on Cody as much. It was focused more on Sammy and with Gunther. But if this now leads to even a one-on-one match between Cody and Sammy at SummerSlam, then I think you'll be able to really judge how this is going to play out for Cody as the main baby face.
So here's some chat comments, Rucker. Then remember your thought, because there's a lot here. Derek Mitchell says, Cody is the hero in the moral compass of the show, and his role doesn't bother me. Carl Man 7000 goes, Cody is the anchor in the midst of the chaos. Again, that's different ways of putting, they're agreeing with me here. And I agree with what Eric said. I was the champion. I was shouting, treat Cody better. Put him in a situation where it's about him as a babyface and not some semi-shoot thing, or where he's against a popular heel, or where there's a story where he's playing subservient and having to consider Rock's offer. Like he would say no immediately. He wouldn't wait a couple television shows to say no. Sadler Version 3 goes, Cody's finally being put in a winning situation, feuding with wrestlers who fans want to boo. He's not facing cool heels like Cena, Drew, Orton. You can extend the list with Kevin Owens and others. And then 7-Eleven, though, goes, I think Cody's kind of stagnant. I think it highlights the lack of convincing heels for him. So not blaming Cody for it, but saying he's kind of stagnant. Darrell says, I have to totally disagree with Rucker, because Cody got the most cheers the whole match, and I don't know if me and Rucker were watching the same show. Even when Sammy did things, they cheered for Cody. But Swole goes, Rucker is right on Cody. Powder Pete says, I'm an unapologetic Cody fan. Goodfella says, Cody's putting asses in seats. Cheers, brother. Swole also says, why are there only 9 likes? So that's a call to action. Everybody go like the show. Give us
Hit the like button.
Yeah, give us a 5-star rating in Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. We want to. I think we just dipped under 4 stars. It's offensive in Spotify for the I don't know if it's the post shows or the Blue Logo podcast, but get us back over 4, because people aren't going to listen if they think people are mad at our commercials or my opinions that I'm not partisan enough, or whatever the reason is. So if you like what we do, that can make a difference, help us grow. Go give us a 5-star rating if you haven't done that yet. Okay, that's what just come either. So Rucker, there are
6 stars in Japan.
Thank you. Yeah. I actually don't look at the star rankings, because but I happened to had to test something in Spotify or something. Oh, we're 3.9. I'm like, come on, people, get us back over 4. I could live with 4. I don't need 5 from everybody. Not everyone's. Sorry, Rucker. This is about me for a minute. And our show.
No, go ahead.
I don't want everybody to like us. If everyone's giving us 5 stars, I'm just some mamby centrist, not offending people. Obviously, my commentary is going to get people upset. I have strong points of view. So obviously people are going to be, he doesn't like this guy enough or whatever. I get that. But the ride or die fans here on the Wade Keller post shows and podcast, we need you guys to show up like Europe did for Sammy and give us 5-star ratings. Okay. Sorry, Rucker. I never do that.
But only if you're wearing a black glove.
Two wild takes by Wade. I don't want everybody to like us, and I don't want my WWE champion to be interesting. So,
I knew that's your reaction when I said that. You know
that's crazy.
You know what I meant by that, though. I don't interesting in a pro wrestling bombastic. Hey, look at me way. I just want Cody to go about his business and be a proud champion who fans can be proud of. That's what I mean. Not obviously you want that. That should be interesting to people, but I don't want him to be a troll or a bombastic supporting player. He's steady. He's the steady center baseline foundation of this, the anchor in the midst of chaos. I think I like Carl Mann's phrase. Cody's the anchor in the midst of chaos. And I've been an advocate. I remember saying that about Ted DiBiase Jr. back in the day. I didn't, not that exact phrasing, but I was like, people go, Ted DiBiase Jr., he doesn't have an edge. He's not interesting. I'm like, you need to have somebody who's, quote, not interesting, who's just the anchor in the midst of chaos. It creates that baseline. It's like a control group in an experiment. And I think that's undervalued sometimes, Rucker.
Well, Cody's not absolved from criticism either, because the same way we were talking about Jay, you said he didn't want to win like that tonight where Sami Zayn cheated for him. But yet 3 weeks ago, when Gunther came out and interfered in the match with Sami Zayn, he as quick as he could went and jumped and hit Sami Zayn with the crossroads and pinned him with the distraction there. So it's which one are you doing? Are you being a hero, or are you being a guy that's I'm going to take advantage of the situation? And that's kind of why I'm not understanding the booking of him. And the QB1 thing, I feel like they're cutting his legs off from under him because you don't see Roman having Travis Scott and Jelly Roll and all these other guys involved in his matches when it comes to WrestleMania. Give Cody a WrestleMania match without all this other BS involved in it and just see what happens. Like, and that's where I'm saying I feel like they're not doing him any favors. Just let him, if you're going to bill him as the guy, let him be the guy. Even if it's a Saturday night WrestleMania main event, I don't need Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee. And,
no, we don't say his name anymore.
Oh, we can't. Okay.
No, don't. Yeah, he's gone.
And all these
Never
other,
happened.
celebrities involved in it. Just let Cody have a one-on-one title match for the world title and just see what happens.
Yeah. So I think you can go back.
That. I was just gonna say you shouldn't have triggered that McAfee antivirus. It's on high alert here.
Yeah, my bad.
Now you just said half his name.
I just talked about the antivirus.
Yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
it's still there. So here's my thing. Go back to the first Netflix Raw. It wasn't about Cody. It was about Rock patting Cody on the head. You go to the Cody storyline. Cody looking at a guy who's drawn more crowds, over 30,000 than Cena ever did, having this storyline that had fans united behind Cody in a way that Cena never had the crowd behind him, was part of a boom period with record revenue that Cena never achieved. And then what do you have? Cena basically patting Cody on the head going, "You'll be something someday, kid." And he's talking to a 40-year-old. I'm sorry. That's not giving Cody the credit that he earned and deserves as the centerpiece guy. He had some flaws. He needed to be reined in a bit, needed a little curating and editing from some of the stuff he did in AEW. He can be a little quite ostentatious in a way that I think is off-putting to some people. I think he's cleaned that up. But I'm sorry, like that. It's from that first Raw to John Cena, that storyline. It's just been the big matches have undercut to a degree that I think people who are thinking Cody can't be that, I think they think he can't be that or he failed at that because he hasn't been given the chance and they've screwed him over. Let him be the centerpiece guy, as Eric is saying. Like, just unencumbered. Stop messing around. He's good enough to be this era's guy like that. Rucker, I'm a body language from audio listeners. They don't see this. I don't know if I'm breaking him down or not here.
I agree and I disagree.
Yeah.
I agree that they need to let him do his thing. Just give him a shot to see if he can be a mainstay guy on his own. But giving him credit for the sellouts and all that, a little bit of bloodline action that was in there at the time too. Well before he was still in AEW when they were doing stuff like that. Like, that was a build before he even got there, and he came and he benefited from the momentum that they already had, and he was positioned as the top babyface. So I don't really want to give him credit for the numbers that were happening when he got there. Now, everything that's happened after, okay, he's been a part of that. But he's also been a part of awful booking, which
I've spoken out against, and I think has undercut him and given ammunition that I don't think should be used against Cody, but against the booking team and the politics that led to him not getting embraced as a top guy. And I mean, Cena was awful to Cody. Oh, I'm the last real champion. I mean, come on, like you can't say that. And think you're passing the torch. You're extinguishing it. You're saying it's mine. I'm taking my ball and going. The title will never mean anything again. It's the most I don't know. I don't want to go back to ranting about that. But between The Rock patting Cody on the head and extinguishing the whole storyline they had built up, and then the Cena stuff, and then all these popular heels being put against Cody, and Cody being treated as fans pick up on it when the promotion isn't treating him as the guy. There's lip service here and there, but it was inconsistent. And I'm not. I don't look forward to Cody Rhodes matches the way I do some other people's, just from a athletic standpoint. But I don't with Roman either. But if you give a good storyline with a crowd invested and the stakes are high and it's part of the ongoing, never-ending canon drama of WWE, I'm in for it. There's not a scarcity of good matches. We can have Carmelo and Ilya matches to scratch that itch. Just let Cody seem like a big star with big stakes in big moments with a spotlight on him. And tell that story, and don't signal to the fans you're second guessing it or you're hedging. And I think that's what they've gotten, along with some sabotaging, frankly, or people like Rock and Cena showing up with preconceived notions that Cody hadn't made it yet when he had. They weren't watching the product. They didn't know how popular he was. It was insulting to him and the fan base that they thought, oh, Cody, you might be something someday. And it's like, no, he already was. He already is. He had momentum, Rucker, no question. It was, he arrived with a hot product, but as you said, he took it from there and did well.
Yeah.
All
right. That's all I got. I didn't mean to upset you so much.
I'm not upset.
Just so you know, I'm a Cody guy. Like I
know you hate
went
Cody.
To
I can
All
tell.
In, the very first All In, to see him win the title on like my wedding anniversary. Now my marriage didn't work out, but that's not the point. But that's like, I'm a Cody guy, and I like Cody. I just wish they would just shit or get off the pot with him. Like either let him be the guy or don't.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
That's my criticism. I didn't mean for it to come off like I was criticizing him. It's more of a criticism of the booking of him.
But you came across as skeptical that he should be the guy, and you thought he was kind of boring. When even now, given that, and I think you underestimated the role he had tonight.
Yeah, more uninteresting.
He's kind of lame. I don't want my champion to be interesting. Who does that?
I will. This is the thing. First of all, Jake C in the chat goes, callers have been amazing tonight. So there you go.
There you go.
So, the idea that pro wrestling is meant to be interesting is, of course, true, but it should not be the goal in how you do things. It should be the side effect of doing things the right way. Then it's interesting. When you try to go for interesting, you get Miz and Kit Wilson still electrocuted in a completely different city, and it's just slapstick. But it's interesting because Danhausen's over and we want to do shtick. I know that's an extreme example, but like the goal shouldn't be how do we make things interesting. The goal should be having faith in the pro wrestling formula that if you have a foundation babyface who stands for things that fans admire and they like him and they want to see him succeed, and you tell that story, and then you build up heels, and they're quirky and outlandish and underhanded and complex in that way, that's interesting. Cody himself, you don't want to make him interesting in and of himself. He is an ingredient that, like, white flour is not interesting, but cake is interesting. Like, I don't need the ingredients to all be interesting. I want the end product when it's all mixed together and baked and served on a plate. That's interesting. So that's my pushback on the idea of, because you have said it a few times, like you don't want your champ to be interesting. I want what my babyface champion is involved in to be interesting, but he himself shouldn't go out of his way to be interesting in a way that feels like it's try hard or meticulously marketed. Just let him be an ingredient in an end product of pro wrestling that's interesting.
But white flour's not QB1, Wade. Cream cheese icing is QB1 if you're making a cake. Like the white flour is the Miz and Danhausen. Those are the guys that are white flour. The white flour is not the main ingredient. That's just the
white flour it's 2 scoops of white flour, like a couple eggs, a cup of water, some sugar. The biggest, if you look at a cake recipe, the number one ingredient is white flour. Quantity wise, weight wise.
Are we baking a cake now?
Yeah.
Don't use my instructions.
You make the cake with Cody and Solo and all these guys, but then when you need the icing and the candles and all that, then you bring Roman in, and that's actually the QB1. It's been great talking to you.
I wouldn't object to some cake right now. You're kind of making me hungry.
Right. What time is it?
Swole says Danhausen is the sprinkles. 7-Eleven says good. Miz is the egg. Carlman says, yes, we are baking a cake. Carlman also says, great analogy with the white flour. I'll take that as a compliment and sincere. All right, cool. Rucker, thanks.
I appreciate it. Wade, always fun talking to you.
Definitely.
Eric, good seeing you for the first time. Everybody hit the like button.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Hit the like button. 5 stars. 5 stars. 6 if you can. Thanks, Rucker. All right. Now it is time for Darrell. Darrell, thank you for being willing to go third here. Nobody else called because I want to wrap up sometime soon. We want to give Darrell time. I don't want to rush him.
That's no problem. I wait. I wait the whole show.
Yeah, appreciate it. So yeah, what's on your mind? What do you think of what we said so far? Whatever, take it away.
Well, what's on my mind is first y'all can give me a slice of that cake that y'all been baking. I would love a piece of that. Little sprinkles, some white
I think
icing.
cinnamon lemon streusel swirl. That was like my favorite growing up. The streusel swirl brand in the bundt cake pan. But I don't know. Cake's good. A lot of cake can be just chocolate cake with chocolate frosting with sprinkles is good. Lemon.
This is not helping.
I know. All right.
Hey, I would say this: the tag along with
there's some people listening to us right now, Darrell, who are on edibles, and they're now we're giving them the munchies.
They run into the refrigerator right now looking for that cake.
By the way, I always had apples in the fridge, like not always, but like often would have apples, and I wouldn't go to them, and they'd go bad, and I'd throw them in the yard Like now, Cosmic Crisp is like I didn't know Red Delicious apples were so awful, and that's what turned me off from apples and Gala or whatever. Like Cosmic Crisp, like it's healthier than cake. Cake I want every once in a while, but like apple every day. Every day I have an apple now, and it's Cosmic Crisp. So
wait, did you just feel guilty that you were having us all want to eat cake? And you wanted to
no. It made me think about. It just made me think about like a nighttime snack, and it's like I feel good. Like if I'm, like if I've got the munchies, a crispy Cosmic Crisp apple does the trick now. I can't have cake every day. That's not fair. It's not healthy.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Swole says lemon gummy for me right now. There we are.
There you go.
But to bring up, to tag along what y'all was talking about at the end, I think with Cody, the issue has been, and I think this is a problem on both AEW, WWE, TNA, that companies have a hard time creating heels for a babyface champion to consistently go against. And I mean heels that will boost the babyface and continue to allow them to go on and do what they need to do so they can stay hot and won't get boring. That's been the problem with Cody. He can't have anything to go against because it seems boring because he have to do too much to hold on, and the heels that he faced not always interesting or they super popular. Yeah, so that's just tagging on to that.
Yep.
I seen Javon Evans let Jey Uso to one of the best matches I done seen Jey Uso have in forever or in a long time. And I really appreciate that about what they did tonight. And it had me thinking about the story that they are telling with Javon, that he's getting close, he's coming close, he's trying to he's about there, but you can tell that he's rookie in sense. He's the Wemby, and he hasn't made it all the way. And I want to see how they do that because we have starting to see the fire in Javon. He's not being all playful all the time. He is, showing some fire and some fight back that you didn't even see in NXT. So what do y'all think about the story that they telling with Javon? I know we talked about the other end with Jay, but what about the story right there?
I mean, I thought it's sort of like Ricky's saying. I think Javon's in a spot that's good for him. I think we can't advocate for clean finishes and brave booking and not have Javon Evans lose to Jey Uso in a King of the Ring tournament. But he does. You use the Wemby example. I mean, he feels like he's an up-and-coming wrestler with a ton of talent who's super enthusiastic, and we're going to be on a journey with him. I like that Bret Hart was on a journey from a opening house show guy with weird hair and bland trunks who just had a nice opener, and then and then Jim Neidhart added personality, and the British Bulldogs came in, and they gave Bret a push because he could keep up with Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith in the mid-'80s, and they had the classic eye-opening style matches inside its main event, and then it's IC title time, and then steroid scandal. So we got to go with somebody who's, safer, and so we go with Brett instead of Hulk. And I mean, like, my point in all that is like we went on a journey with him. Like you saw him from the very beginning work his way up, and that's how sports fans are. I mean, San Antonio is ahead of schedule. Like, I mean, they weren't supposed to be this good this year, but nevertheless, I mean, OKC, the Wolves knocked them out in a play-in game. And then the next year they're deep in the playoffs. The year after that, they're winning the title. So I like a journey, and I think having a little hardship along the way is good. And in the meantime, he is distinct as a character, and he is likable, and his matches are exciting. And I know a lot of people do dives and athletic moves, but there is just something about his style that stands out above all of that as distinct. Eric.
Yeah, I am so impressed by him. And tonight was just it was like a magnifier on everything that I've been impressed with him. You just mentioned it, Darrell, with he showed fire. Jay was giving him a lot of talking. He was talking a lot of trash, and Javon gave it right back to him. And he sold better than Charlotte Flair tonight in my eyes. And he carried a veteran. It seemed like he carried Jay through that match. Like maybe I'm wrong and maybe he didn't. I'm not in the ring. But if he's outshining two veterans like that and showing all this growth, I just think that, and he already has all like great facials in the ring, and he just does everything well. He paces out his moves. He lets them breathe. Everything he does well. And to top it all off, I'm glad he's not winning every single match too. I'm glad they're not burning that out quickly. I'm glad he lost tonight. Like he doesn't need to win every match. He's growing. And I think he can just keep building with him, and he could be something really, really special.
7-Eleven says Javon's a top seller, one of the best in the business right now. Yep. Derek Mitchell says Javon feels more like Anthony Edwards, NBA Minnesota Timberwolves, a fun-loving guy, while Wemby feels like a whiner and a sore loser. You'll enjoy everything with Rich and Wade today because we had something to say about Wemby. Shout out to Javon. He delivered on Jay's style, says good fella. Swole said Javon's punches are much better. I don't know if better than they used to be or better than someone else's. Powder Repeat says he can sell. And Goodfella said, best J match since the Roman trilogy. Oh, and Chris Rucker says, by the way, caller mutual love here. Mr. Freeman's one of my favorite callers. Always has good points, even when he disagrees with me. So there we go.
Thank you. Thank you. I would say this, if you ever, y'all ever want to go back and look, the story that they telling with Javon is almost similar to the Sami Zayn NXT story. Right before he won it and got attacked by Kevin Owens. So I wonder who will be his Kevin Owens and attack him when he finally gets a chance to get it. And that'll be a good way to get a new heel over, is having him come after Javon after he finally get over the hump and win.
What about Ethan Page? Or is that not a strong enough name?
I think they need to. Yeah.
Yes, and it can be a continuation from NXT.
Could be Kevin Owens. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Eric.
I was just saying they can build those up. They need to give him some relationships on screen on the main roster because he's kind of his own thing right now. They need to build more connections for him so somebody turns on him, it'll mean something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's true.
All right, bro. Yep. What else we got?
Okay. Now, another thing is tonight because I'm focusing on some of the secondary people that we haven't talked about. I think that attack on Charlotte tonight was more of a build to build Jade as the big bad of the women's division tonight. She claimed that she took out Rhea. That was one thing. She called out Tiffany, stepped up to her, came in to Charlotte, took her out, and she made the show all about her. And I'm continually happy on the growth that after WrestleMania that she has been showing. And I know people was questioning her before. And shoot, I even had some questions, but she's starting to show that she can hang and she can be a center of a story, especially now that Rhea is probably out and stuff like that. They made me feel like they're going to probably have a triple threat or something for a number one contendership for whoever Rhea. And I think she's working her way right back on up to maybe winning that title back. And then you have a bunch of baby faces, women who can go after her. You have the Charlottes, you have the Alexa Bliss, you have right now the Tiffany because she's a semi baby face right now. You have a bunch of different people who you can have go after her. When you get her to that point, because I feel like she could domain, and you can have two heels because I think Blake Monroe gonna come around and win the U.S. title. So, but right now you have her as the center, and I like what they're doing with her. What about that with you guys?
Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, I've been very impressed with Jade too. And like we were talking earlier about, there's not a lot of women in the company that seem like they can carry like multiple things at once. And I mentioned that I didn't think Jade was there yet. If you'd asked me a year ago, I would say I don't think she'll ever be able to get there. But I have seen that, yeah, and she does have a lot going on. And it seems like there's a chance where she can really be a cornerstone of this division for years if she wants to be, because she keeps growing, and that's encouraging. There's some people like Stratton. I don't see Stratton growing at all. In fact, I think she's regressing. But yeah, so I'm impressed by her. And I think overall, I think the women's division has never been deeper. I thought it was very clear during these Queen of the Ring 4-way matches where I'm looking around and I'm thinking, I don't exactly know who's going to win any of these matches, because I could see a case for all of them, because they're all like, maybe they're not all super over, but they're all doing something interesting. And it's not just, we have 4 women in the division that we're focusing on, then that's it. You know, there's a lot more going on in that. I think there's a lot of potential in Julia to still make more of an impact than what she has so far. So, and then you mentioned Monroe coming in, that'll be something. So I think I'm encouraged by the women's division overall.
I'm too. Yeah. I wish they mic'd Jade in her interaction with Charlotte tonight.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Jade's been better when she's been playing off of Michin and BFAB. I think that's worked well. Your baddies from AEW, that kind of gimmick has worked well. But yeah, I've been praising Jade. I would be repeating myself to say, but I think she's coming along as somebody you can lean on as more than just like this special attraction statuesque. She should be good. She should be charismatic. The Lex Luger thing. I think she actually is interesting, to use the phrase of the hour. Yes. Darrell.
Now, my last thing would be, and this is a 2-parter, because it's more about the king and queen of the ring and maybe challenges for SummerSlam. I know Jay won tonight. We got Oba on Monday. To mix this all into one, Sami Zayn, I would love to see him win the title at King of the Ring. And he can have a 1-month run, whether it'll be like a 5 or 6 week run, and it can help tell the story or whatever. Because I see Cody going there. That's why I see probably Oba winning and starting the bloodline to him after beating Jay and causing Roman to
losing
not
Darrell a
look
little
at,
bit here.
but how do y'all? Excuse me. Yeah, I was breaking up a little bit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I like to see all of that, and I feel like that would be more interesting. Having Sammy versus Cody, SummerSlam, and doing that, starting that with the bloodline focusing on Oba, and you start to see Jacob, who's look like he's Roman Hitman. How do you see that? How would you like for the story to play? I know we've been doing this for the past few weeks, but we're getting down to the nitty gritty. If Sammy won, do that changes something for y'all, or should they have that match on last? And would they tell a lot?
At Night of Champions or at SummerSlam?
Night of Champions. If you won a Night of Champions.
Well, if they're going to have him win at Night of Champions, he's going to get cheered. So I don't know if that's what they want, but I'll tell you exactly how I want him to win the championship, whether it's the Night of Champions or SummerSlam. I want Johnny Gargano to finally rise up from his coma and run and help him win the title, because I think it'll but there's no way you can be a heel like that. So I don't know, because I think that moment could be great when Gargano actually gets up if it's for something important.
I worry Gargano's character is such a slapsticky one-note joke.
Right.
And that sounds like an insult. I mean, and it obviously, it can't run from, it's not a glowing compliment, but sometimes a one-note gag that just gets carried out is kind of funny and absurd. And I leave a little bit of room for that in pro wrestling if it doesn't get in the way of things. My issue would be, Sammy's so good. Do you want a pivot point in the Sammy storyline to be Gargano? To me, that's lower card comedy. And Gargano obviously is capable of more than that. He's got the best gig, just fly in and lay in a crate, get someone talks to you and Candace yells at you, and then you collect your paycheck and go to the hotel and scroll your phone or whatever, watch HBO on the hotel TV. I mean, it's a good gig if you can get it, but I don't know. I mean, they should do something with him, but I don't know if I'm having a low card comedy slapsticky thing be a pivot point for Sammy winning the title. I'd have to see it get executed before I'm willing to fully endorse that, Eric.
Do you agree that him rising up needs to be a moment that they build around something, though?
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah.
It has to be something. And they should carry this out for another 6 weeks until SummerSlam or somewhere around there.
Yeah, I just and Sammy is talking to him, but I like, is Sammy talking to him because because Gargano's a captive audience and everyone else just turns away and walks away? Like, that could be the totality of it. It's just Gargano isn't integral in the Sammy storyline, except for the fact that he is passed out and available for Sammy to talk to at him. Right. And that's the beginning, middle, and end of it. It's just, and then Gargano ends up, the pivot point for Gargano's character is about somebody else or something else, right, but not Sammy. Yeah. So
he totally took away from the actual question, though.
Yeah. Paulo Repeat says he planks on his hotel bed as well. Yeah, go ahead, Eric. Go ahead and elaborate on.
Oh, no, I mean, I think at this point, WWE is building some momentum with this. And I would just pull the trigger on a Sami Zayn win, whether it's a Night of Champions or SummerSlam, one of the two, because I think you can afford it. Cody can afford to lose the belt. It'll kick off a 3-month feud between the two of them. And I think that's somewhere where they can do some really good work. If he's going to win the title as a heel, they just need to find a way for him to sneakily get it. Like, I'm sure they can come up with something.
I'm a fan of Sammy. I want it to be a well-told story. I do not have a preference on strong preference on when it happens, because I would need to know everything else that they're doing around it to decide if it's a good decision or not. Part of me wants this to go on for a while, but part of me is fearful it'll go on past its peak moment. So I don't have an answer, Darrell, for the right time for it. I will enjoy it no matter what, but in terms of picking the right time, I don't have as you asked the question, I don't have like, oh yeah, now this has fallen into place based on tonight or the last couple of weeks. This is what I want it to happen. I think it can happen in multiple circumstances. Someone in the chat earlier said it could be Money in the Bank. Like, I'm okay if they go with it soon. I'm okay if they wait a while.
What if Sammy is the other end of the table and he's the honorary oops? He said, tell the family I said hey, or hi. What does he come back as the other end of the table and the champion? And that could help turn that whole faction heel.
That would explain Roman going, there's two ends to the table, and it's not for Jay. It's for Sammy. Yeah, I mean, having Sammy interact again with the Bloodline will play into people going, this is a rerun, it's a derivative, it's a sequel, and it's not as good as a first. But there was magic there. You know what I mean? Like, I can't write it off as don't do it. I mean, you know, I think there's enough. I think Jacob Fatu is different enough from Jay. I think the journey Roman has been on, he's in a different place. I think Jay, I wish, as we talked about, they were owning more of what he's done the past couple of years to make it feel different and not sequel and derivative. That's there to be done. Part of me, and maybe I'm having too much faith in something that obviously like Paul Heyman is instrumental in behind the scenes, because he's still super tight with Roman, and you know, Paul Levesque leans on him for stuff. I just sort of think, even if there's some clunkiness, it's a means to an end that will have a payoff. And it doesn't mean that everything they've done that people complain about is excusable or wasn't avoidable. But I have a level of trust in this, Darrell, that we're going to get somewhere. And sometimes it might be the second choice for some people. You know, like, oh, I would have rather had them done this and this, but I still think it's going to be good. You know, I think what we see at SummerSlam and beyond will be good and maybe great. But every decision you make, you're displacing something else that could have been done. And so if people get really attached to what they want something to be, they might lose sight of what's good about the thing that they are choosing to do instead.
I agree. The second part would be, I think they have to win because they need a few in a story to tell with her. And this could be a kickoff to a story. Liv Morgan.
Oh, Liv Morgan. Gotcha. Yep. Gotcha. Yep. Sorry.
And this could be a kickoff for it by having EO win and beat her and just telling the story, and Liv snapping and saying how the other members of the Judgment Day women didn't help her, and she keeps sending them, and they finally separate from her, and now she got to do it on her own. That's a story that you could tell, but I'm just thinking they need to make it more interesting. And out of the people that was left, I think EO is probably the most over one of the ones left. So you can use that overness to tell a story to help prop up a story until you can get it down. What do you guys think about that? And that would be it for me.
All right. Thanks, Terrell. Eric, what
Thanks,
do you think?
bro. I
Right.
think EO needs to win because EO needs something. Like EO doesn't have anything going on at all
Yeah.
right now other than smiling and being good in the ring. Ever since Ripley left, it's like she's just rudderless. And I think this will give her something to do at least.
Yeah. I mean, I think that summarizes a good way it can go. By the way, Padre Repeat in the chat goes, Gargano sits up and yells, "Stop whining." That could be the Sammy moment.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah. 7-Eleven goes, since Liv has already won King of the Ring fairly recently, I think Io needs to win and hopefully faces Rhea if she's ready. I mean, there is something about Io, that she's not the shiny new toy, but she's just so good. And the reaction she got last week or earlier this week was so positive. Like, I mean,
She's very strong.
Yeah, like there is a appreciation for that so much. Chris Rucker goes, I love Io, but I'm tired of her winning. Doesn't sound like you love her enough.
Yeah. I want to go back.
Yeah.
So before we get too far away from this and I forget, Gargano, if he rises up and says, stop whining, have it at Night of Champions or SummerSlam, one of the two, gets up and yells, stop whining, and then Gargano smacks a water bottle and Sammy goes, hey, what are you doing? And just like criticizes it for hitting a water bottle. Would make my
Yep.
It'd be perfect.
Yes. Yep. Derek Mitchell has a super chat. I had it highlighted and I kept scrolling away from it because it wasn't in the flow of the conversation, but it was worth saying. For those of you who don't know, Kansas City used to be a wrestling hotbed for the NWA, particularly having world title matches with Harley Race, Jack Briscoe, Dory Funk, Terry Funk, Dusty Rhodes, and Ric Flair. Tessitore, I think it was Tessitore who said that Cody was talking about the importance at the beginning of tonight, that we were going back to 81 with his dad, and he feels like it's an important wrestling city. And I like that they talk about that. I mean, for longtime fans, it's good, but I also think it's educational for people who just think there's one big wrestling international behemoth, WWE, and all the cities are interchangeable. And the only thing that makes a city matter is in what city did a big Rock match or Roman Reigns match or John Cena match happen, or a Money in the Bank that I loved, or a big like there is so much more to these cities, and there is kind of a screen burn-in, as I said earlier, that kind of it's going away over time. Every 5-10 years that goes by, it does become sort of a generic WWE city. But I'm glad that they keep that topic alive for now, because there are people like Cody who have a tie into it.
Right. And it's also nice, just like any sports fan, you like to hear the history of your team, and you like to track the statistics. So it's nice when they mention stats, and they mentioned even tonight that this was the I don't know if they said it, I don't know if it was the same arena, but they said Kansas City was the place where the first Smackdown was held.
And it was a special referee, two of them. They only mentioned Sean, not Shane.
But they did acknowledge there were two, though. At least.
Yeah. It's politically speaking, it's interesting. They didn't want to say.
Yeah, they didn't want to mention it for whatever reason.
I can think of a list of reasons, and it might be all of them. Let's see. 7-Eleven says it'd be funny if Sammy ends up losing and starts planking right next to Johnny. There we are.
I mean, could.
Yeah. People with memories of Kansas City. Okay. So, Eric, I want to wrap up here, but anything else that you? I want to get your thought on the Danhausen Miz kit.
Okay, I did have one thought. But it really has very little to do with that part of it. I mean, it's hokey. Like, I don't think it's going anywhere. It's just a gag until they get tired of it. They probably won't even close it out, really. What I was more wondering is, did we actually see Matt Cardona revert into becoming Zack Ryder now? Is he going to be Zack Ryder moving forward? Because I thought that part was clever too.
I will let you know when I find him worth his TV time and interesting. I don't care what they call him.
I don't think it will change a thing with him, but
Yeah.
it was notable to me that he, it seemed like he became Zack Ryder again.
Yeah. And it just feels like acknowledging defeat, that this thing that you did
Yeah.
outside of WWE is going to be the new thing that elevates him. And he's still, I mean, he seems like a nice enough guy, but he's just sort of this oafish, bright orange, muscular guy who is I don't know, it's just, he's not a serious person. And I mean, I just, he got the push he deserved in WWE, and people thought he deserved more, and he reinvented himself in a few different ways outside, but I don't know. Yeah. Chris Rucker goes, Wade hates Cardona. I am just speaking the truth, Rucker.
At some point, they could do something interesting with him and Chelsea Green.
Don't let Chelsea be great without being weighed down by
I'm not saying
Zach.
anytime soon, but at some point they could.
Just because they're really married doesn't mean you have to ruin Chelsea Green's momentum by anchoring Zack Ryder to it. I'm being a little harder on him for
because Tiffany Stratton's the way to go.
Yeah. Well, I know.
And Stratton actually made good points tonight too.
I
She
know.
didn't deliver him very well, but
no, she did not.
She's like, "Why have you insulted me and beat me up for a year, and now you want to be my friend?" Like, it's a good point.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Chelsea gaslighting her, I guess, would be the way. Just like, that's a compliment to call you. What was tacky? Was it
tacky time?
Tacky time, yeah. That's a compliment. It's like, I mean, she did it with a straight face. Chelsea's great, and I mean, Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona seems like a nice enough guy, but I am laying into him a little bit for a bit, but I know 7LM says Zack Ryder greater than Matt Cardona. I mean, that's like 0.0001 is greater than 0.000001. Yes, it's true. But
what I'm taking from this is that Cosmic Crisp is greater than Zack Ryder.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I don't know if we can mix those two things, and I don't know if they're very comparable, but I don't know who's redder.
Orange, one's red.
I don't know who is a more bright color, but I know apples are supposed to be red, and whatever color Matt Cardona is not natural and normal, and it's weird and off-putting.
He slept in Hulk Hogan's tanning bed.
Oh God! Like, are they colorblind? Like, is he colorblind? Can he not see? Like, does he look in the mirror and go, "Yeah, I'm gonna get over because I'm this shade"?
I assume he's proud of his skin shade, or it wouldn't be that.
I just think some people just do things out of habit, thinking that's what stars on TV do, and he just overdoes it. It's like the person who wears too much perfume because they can't smell it anymore. They,
Right.
You get immune to the smell, and then they walk, and you can tell they're coming from 12 feet away. Oh, here she is, and they don't know, and no one has a heart to tell them. Like, come on, be a friend. That's how someone should be about this tanning bed thing. Zack doesn't. It happens so gradually. He thinks he's still pale. I don't know. All right.
Do you feel better? Do you feel better?
It's late. You're defending the Miz.
Kind of feel bad I brought him up. I didn't know he was going to attach so many strays tonight.
You know what? He's getting talked about, and I don't normally talk about him, so that's a win.
True.
That's a win.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm good signing off there. Are you?
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, cool. Thanks, chat. Thanks for the super chats. People want to see Blake Monroe get done with the vignettes. Kavanti says, I'm afraid she'll get lost in the shuffle. There appears to be visually an overlap between her and Tiffany. I'm fine with the time they're taking with her. And every week that goes by that she's not on, to a point, I don't think we reached it yet, makes her seem like a bigger star, because they don't do that for everybody. And she's talking about different women each week, so it's not redundant.
It just feels strange she had that brief cameo one week and then reverted back to vignettes. But I wish they had just kept it at that.
That's a good point. Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks, everybody. Go VIP, support us, be a customer. We appreciate everybody listening. If you're not going to go VIP, at least if you're on a podcast app right now, Spotify, Apple Podcast especially, give us a 5-star rating. Let's get that average up over 3.9 or whatever it is right now, back to the 4s. And like our show on YouTube if you're watching us there. Comment, subscribe, set alarms, all that good stuff that all the podcasters tell you. Do it for us. Thank you, everybody, for your support, and we will talk to you all next time.